Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Basic Blokes. I'm Dom.
And I'm Eric.
And this is the Basic Blokes.
Yay! Cue music.
Yeah,
Hey, man.
low budget intro. Sorry, we can't afford
Speaking
anything
of low
else.
budget, I played a low budget game.
Yes, here we have a man who has survived, wait for this, the whole of the Walking Dead Destinies.
Yeah, I have. And I came back unscathed, just.
There's not any full scores on this out yet, but it got 3.5 on Metacritic from the user score, which is usually the most generous one. So let's just dive straight in. You load up the game, you first play it. What was your first impressions?
Okay, I thought I went back in time about 12 years and was on the Xbox 360 because the graphics are not very good. Like, they do look very dated. And this game claims to be in 60 frames. And I was playing on the Xbox Series X, and it looked like I was on the Xbox 360. Yeah, bad graphics, all right? I mean, they're pretty average. But not all of it's entirely bad. Like, the visuals of something, like some of the environments were actually okay. Like when you go to Herschel's house, that was done really well. That was represented well. Some of the characters looked okay. Everyone just said all the characters looked terrible. I thought Daryl Dixon looked pretty good. I think the governor looked okay. The hit and misses for me were probably Shane and Rick. Michonne looked okay as well, and so did Maggie. But a lot of other characters were kind of hit and miss. And same thing with the voice acting. Like, a lot of voice acting in the game was a bit hit and miss as well. Like, Herschel was pretty much forced, and a few others didn't sound anything like their characters at all. It was, but like I said, this whole game was like a hit, like a mega hit or a mega miss. In the first part of the game, it's like trying to represent the first 4 seasons of The Walking Dead. So what happens is you play multiple characters in the game in certain scenarios of the show. So in the most part, you play as Rick, Shane, Daryl, Merle, his brother, Maggie, Michonne, and even the governor from The Walking Dead. And I thought this, and Glenn as well. Sorry, nearly forgot to mention poor little Glenn there. And Herschel as well. These are pivotal characters from the show, especially from the first 4 seasons of Walking Dead. And we have like a skill-based tree as well. So you'll get skill points to upgrade their weaponry, upgrade their skill set, like stealth and their strengths and stuff like that. And you actually distribute these skill points on the characters you're playing in the game. And then you'll have like side missions. So before you start a story, there'll be like a little side mission. One of the characters saying, "Hey, you got multiple characters there," and they'll say, "Look, I can go to this house and check to see if there's any supplies." And you can say, "Yeah, you can go on there." And if they succeed, they'll get skill points to add to the thing. If they fail, you don't get any more skill points. Something bad can happen. But what's the appeal of this game is you can change the story, the arc of the story. And this, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, we all know that Rick and Shane, who are dear friends, come in a conclusion later in the series where Rick kills Shane. But you can change the course of history here. You can actually become Shane and see where the story pans out for yourself. And there's certain elements in there where you have to make pivotal choices and see where it actually happens. So there's a replayability to the game. So you might play the game and change different outcomes, and then you can go back there, God forbid, and play it again and change it if you want to. I got to change it. People requested for me to play as Shane. So we killed off Rick, and then we were Shane. We were in charge of the group, and Shane's a little bit of a different character. He's a bit about himself instead of the actual people. And things did change out quite a bit, and that was kind of cool to see that element.
I've only watched 3 seasons of The Walking Dead, right? So if you had to describe this, compare it to another game, like what is this similar to? Like what games?
Last of Us. I would say this would probably appeal to people who played Last of Us because there's a lot of missions that are very similar. There's a lot of stealthing, hiding. Also, you could use melee combat as well, and use guns as well. You're shooting not only just zombies, but you're actually shooting other characters and factions and stuff like that. You could you can do stealth attacks as well. You can stomp on zombies' heads. You can dismember them and stuff like that. Even though it doesn't look fantastic, but there's a good variation of weapons too. You got like shotguns, sniper rifles, pistols, an axe, crowbars. You pick up health as well. You can pick up pills as well, and you can pick up grenades. You can actually lure them as well with bottles, throw a bottle to distract them. So it's a very Last of Us-esque type game. but
Is
with
this
a
the
very, very
root
low
of,
budget.
is this the root of the problem that they've just made a budget version of The Last of Us?
Oh, it's very similar. There's a sequence where you're Shane, and you're actually fighting a big creature in the gym, and we all know that's pretty much from The Last of Us because everyone was comparing it from The Last of Us. There's this massive zombie I was shooting in the gym and said, wait a minute, this is The Last of Us. We did this before. So you have that moment in there where it's very similar. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I mean, a lot of games copy each other anyway, regardless of what you say. But like I said, I did have fun with it. There was some fun moments in there that I liked. But I just found what the problem is, like we said before, we want to be immersed in a game. We want to feel the experience of the game. And I think what took people out of it was the visuals, obviously, and of course the god awful cutscenes. The cutscenes were just basically stills. It looks like they just went to AI and said they typed in Rick Grimes pointing at someone, and then they got an AI element. And because the arms and elbows and stuff, mate, go and look at it. It's really bad. It is really bad. It is really, really fucking bad. And they're just basically still images. It's like Redfall over again, but 10 times worse.
Were you expecting though with this game a high budget? Like, is this? I don't know the studio behind it. I haven't looked it up.
It's Game Mill Entertainment, and I've tagged them in all my TikToks. They probably hate me now. Game Mill, and the problem is Game Mill Entertainment are not very popular right now because they released a King Kong game this year that basically is worse than the Gollum game. And I looked at the graphics of that game, and it looks atrocious. I've seen better games that look better on the PS1. This King Kong game looks terrible. It looks really bad, but they distributed this game. But the Walking Dead game, what got me curious about it was like how you could change where the story could go. I kind of liked that concept. And the trailer didn't really show you too much. I mean, it kind of looked dated and stuff like that. And I thought, I don't know, it might be okay. I might try it out. And so that's what got me intrigued to play it. So I got into it, I played it, and I don't think it is as bad as people have made it out to be. I think people just jump on that bandwagon where someone's shitting on something and then everyone else just jumps on the bandwagon and shit on it, you know? It's not perfect, definitely, by far not perfect. The NPCs are atrocious. They're bullet sponges and they're doing weird animations when you're shooting them. And I thought that was really weird. And I think the later half of the game was a bit of a slog to get through. The first half I actually did not mind. I thought it was actually okay. But the last half of the game, like the 3 or 4 missions, I just found like they were more of a chore than an enjoyment. I just wanted to be over and done with because it was just frustrating. I just felt like they had so many zombies in one area just to make more time in the game. Because it's not a very long game. It's about 10 to 12 hours you can complete this whole game.
Jesus. So I'm looking at what DreamWorks have, and they seem to be. They obviously have some sort of tie-in to the movie industry. I think maybe their speciality is that they only
they do Nickelodeon
TV
stuff as well. Yeah, they do Nickelodeon stuff as well. So I don't think like they've got the biggest budget in the world, but I think the thing what upset people was obviously there's a lot of Walking Dead fans out there. They're really passionate about the lore and stuff. And I'm, for one, am a huge Walking Dead fan. So when I was playing this, everyone said the same thing. Why didn't they get the actors to do the voiceovers? And I said, well, that would have cost them a shitload of money to get them to do the voice acting. Was the time? They kind of look like their characters, but not. They're like sort of look like them, but they don't. Like I think the Shane one looked okay, and the Herschel one looked okay. Megan one looked okay. Rick was a bit hit and miss. Obviously, they're on a tight schedule, they're on a tight budget, and they're trying to make an okay game. But I feel like there was a lot of corners cut, especially at the end of the game. I think the best looking character and actually the best sounding character was Daryl. Daryl looked okay, actually looked okay and sounded okay. And I think also Carol. Carol was not a bad design character, and also the voiceover was actually pretty good. But the rest were like hit and miss.
I'm looking at this, right? There was this period of time where people were like, oh, I have the license for this, therefore I should make a game of it.
Mm-hmm.
And slowly with time, people realize just because I have a license for it doesn't mean necessarily
I make a game. Yeah.
And when like you had the early years of like PlayStation games and you could spin up a game and they'd look kind of shitty, but every game looked shitty, right? Because there was limited by the hardware. Now we're in a stage where if you put time and effort and dedication into a production, you get something incredibly, incredibly beautiful, right? So when something mediocre comes along, you've got all these bars of great games now that people can compare them to, and it does way more damage. And I think we should, again, this is a company that I say, looking at the Nickelodeon All Stars, it was rated one of the worst PS5 games, I think, ever. You've got The Walking Dead. You've got other ones in here. You've got The Avatar. I think that was also Cobra Kai 2, Dojo Rising. Like, these are just, they've got a license for the game title, or they've got like a series title or something, and they're just making a game with it. There's no evidence based on this, but it makes me wonder if it's the same sort of thing with Spider-Man and Sony. You have to produce a game with this, otherwise there's some sort of implication, because it just boggles my mind. Why would you make a game that bad? Like, why would you invest? Like,
no, I agree. I think obviously just because you've got a game title doesn't mean, but I think that obviously they're a smaller company and they know that they've got these IPs and they want to pump those games out to get something of a profit to maybe make something better in the end, but it's hurting them at the same time because they're not bringing out good quality games.
Yeah.
You know, and so they'll probably lose those licensing because it's hurting, especially Walking Dead. That's a big game. That's a big name. That's a big franchise. AMC owns that. They want good tie-ins. And for the most part, Walking Dead games have been either a hit or a miss. I know the Telltale games have always been really popular, but then you got the Daryl Dixon game that came out a few years ago. That wasn't good. Saints and Sinners, the VR game, has been okay as well, but there's been other games that have been not as good. But yeah, when you get a huge IP like that, you need to do the dedication. I think there's obviously like I said before, I think there is there's obviously a limit to their budget, what they can and can't do, and they were trying to project something with the budget that they had, but it did not execute very well. The idea is cool, changing the lore of the first 4 seasons, cool concept, but they did not execute it to the standards that we expected, which is a shame because this could have been really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, for there to be great games, there have to be a lot of shit games. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Ultimately, if no other games existed in the world, we probably play this and go, "Oh wow, this is really, really good." But
this
the fact
is amazing.
It's just not the case anymore because we've got so many genres, and
Yeah.
there are big boys out there in genres that completely own them that make you question, go, why would you ever want to fucking compete in a game like this, etc. It's like, why would you go up now of all? It's like films when they release, like when the original Marvel films were coming out, it's like they were still trying to release superhero movies at the same time. So it's just like, who is responsible for these decisions? Surely the logical person would sit and go, actually, maybe this isn't the right time or the best idea. Maybe we should wait or just save our money. And this is a poor investment. But
I don't know what they did there. It's not the worst game I've ever played, and by far not one of the best games I've played either. I had some fun times with it. Would I go back to play it? Probably not, because like that last few missions were a slog. They were a chore. I just wanted to be over and done with, because the NPCs were sponges and they were doing weird things. It just took me out of the game. And like you said, I mean, just because you have a licensing for something doesn't mean you should make a game out of it. They need, like, when it comes to these games, they should have just said, okay, let's just put that in a pile and wait till we get a better budget, better, more trained people, better people to work on this game. Because like I said, I think the concept was really cool, a really cool concept. You could possibly change the Walking Dead stories. Really cool concept here, because then it gives you that replayability. But I'm not going to replay something that was buggy mess with subpar graphics and also really average cutscenes again. And it takes you out of the experience. You want to be immersed in the world. You want to feel that you're part of the world, and you can't when you've got some dodgy voiceovers and really average cutscenes. It just takes you out of the experience. The job of a game developer and game producers and game makers is to bring us to that world where we want to be immersed in it and feel it. Didn't get that with this.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, I think we're going to leave it there, but thank you once again. If you have any comments on the Walking Dead Destiny, let us know your experiences in the comments below, and we will get back to you. But until then, this has been the Basic Blokes. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.